Hey.
Okay. We started a series a few weeks ago called The Lioness Rising. And I want to continue with that. This one is about the Lioness Rising, love, relationships, and freedom. And I'm going to have a few points. So just things that are going on in my life, things I'm learning, I want to share with you. There is a strength within the heart of a lioness that often goes unnoticed, not because it's hidden, but because it's sacred. She doesn't
Okay.
chase. She doesn't perform. She doesn't force. She is. Her presence alone carries power, and her love, fierce yet free, is never obligated to perform. The first point I want to look at is relationship isn't all or nothing. I love Star Wars. It's a movie. My best friend Heidi doesn't watch those things very often, but in this movie, and I quote Star Wars a lot, and she's, oh God. But in Star Wars, Yoda has a quote, and he says, "Only Siths deal in absolutes." Well, Sith is based on fear and hate, and I'm not one of those. Relationships are a gift, an opportunity to relate to someone. This gift can sometimes get off balance when we decide that someone is obligated to give us all or give us nothing, and vice versa. We sometimes believe that relationships must look a certain way all the time, be it constant check ins or daily text or endless emotional availability. And though those things are all very beautiful gestures, it's important to check that belief. Make sure it's not coming from a place of insecurity or a place of fear. True relationships, like the lioness in her pride, allow space. She knows her sisters are near, even when they're not with her. Ecclesiastes 4, verse 9 and 10 says, "Two are better than one because they have a good return for their labor. If either of them fall down, one can help the other up." Manufacturing moments to prove loyalty is not what this verse is about. It's about helping each other along the way. Relationships are not measured by constant presence or perfect performance, but by consistency of love. Proverbs 17:17 reminds us that real friends love at all times, not just in seasons of ease, agreement, or daily interaction. Their love isn't transactional. It's not based on how often you talk or whether you're always aligned. It's based on covenant, not convenience. This verse affirms the lioness's truth. Friendship is not forced or frantic, it's faithful. Even if you don't speak every day, even if life pulls you in different rhythms, love doesn't disappear. It abides, it holds space. It knows when to rise and when to rest. Mel Robbins captures this beautifully in the let them theory. Let them be themselves because they are revealing who they are to you. Just let them, and then you get to choose what to do next. This is deep peace in simply, there is a deep peace in simply letting people just be without needing to manage or monitor the connection. I have a best friend, and we have been best friends for over 30 years. And most of this time as friends has been distant relationship. Now, if either of us ever felt that the other one owed them, our relationship would be out of balance. If either of us believed that it's all or nothing when it comes to this relationship, we would have had to end it a long time ago. Life is full, and what is right in front of us can be very consuming. Through the years, we have allowed each other the space to do what we need and yet be with each other fully when we are connected. We thankfully are able to trust in the tethered connection, not the performance, which leads me to my next point. I don't perform for anyone, and no one is to perform for me. Performance is rooted in fear of rejection, fear of not being enough, fear of pleasing. But I know that 1 John 4:18 says perfect love casts out fear. The lioness doesn't dance for approval. She rests in the knowing of who she is. And I too am learning to rest in that knowing. Show them who you are. I no longer perform for acceptance, and do not require others to perform for mine. When someone withdraws, changes, or no longer shows up the way they once did, we don't need to chase them or change ourselves. We can let them, as Robbins suggests, and allow that to be freedom rather than rejection. We have a funny saying that we all love: not my monkey, not my circus. This saying was brought to light when we were discussing worry and control and staying in our lane. And this statement has helped me find so much balance and revealed to me where I needed to stay in my lane. But let's be very clear. In reality, I don't want anyone, even my own monkeys, performing for me, and I won't perform for anyone else. Galatians 1:10 says, "Am I now trying to win the approval of human beings or of God? Or am I trying to please people? If I were still trying to please people, I would not be a servant of Christ." Proverbs 29:25 says, "Fearing people is a dangerous trap, but trusting the Lord means safety." My next point I want to get to is freedom in obligation and expectation. There is a vast difference between love and obligation. Obligation says, I have to. Love says, I get to. When expectations become chains, they smother the very love that they were trying to protect. Galatians 5:1 says, "It is for freedom that Christ has set us free. Stand firm then, and do not let yourself be burdened again by a yoke of slavery." This includes the slavery of relational expectation. Love in its purest form is never heavy. It uplifts and it never demands. Mel Robbins echoes this by saying, when someone shows you who they are, believe them the first time. In other words, let go of expectations that someone will change to fit in your mold. Let them reveal themselves. And from that truth, you get to choose what your piece is. There's a quiet wisdom in observation. People may speak intentions with words, but it is clear that their actions reveal a different truth. And when someone shows you who they are through patterns, priorities, presence, absence, believe them. Not with judgment, not with bitterness, but with clarity. This doesn't mean you stop loving them. That means you stop writing a script of who you wish they could be and you start accepting them for who they are. It's the difference between fantasy and reality, between holding on to potential and honoring the present truth. Believing them doesn't mean you close your heart. It means you open your eyes. It's a form of self-respect. When someone shows you they won't meet you in depth and effort and integrity or in presence, you no longer need to try to earn what isn't being offered freely. You stop performing. You stop pleading. You stop adjusting yourself to fit into a version of a connection that isn't even accurate. And in this awareness, you find peace. You find freedom. You find the lioness within, the one who sees clearly, who walks with grace, who stays soft but no longer shrinks, who doesn't allow the words of others while they're processing their own fear be absorbed in her. A lioness knows who she is no matter what everyone else around her roars. The next point I want to make is love never fades. It just reorganizes through frequency. This is a truth I am learning in layers. Sometimes we grieve shifting relationships or a love that feels different than it once did. But what if it hasn't died? What if it's just reorganized? Energy change, season shift, frequencies rise and fall. But love, true love, transcends time and space. I had a conversation with my bestie a while ago. She has 5 children. As a mommy with 5 children, you're in a certain rhythm because you have 5 children, and 3 of which she was one she was nursing, one was not, I don't remember the process. But the point is, there's a lot going on, and the romantic, beautiful, sexy side of mama has to kind of be put on hold for a little while because she's in mama mode. When you when you transfer from that place to the next place, you're changing. The man had to adjust to mama mode. And now that you've transitioned into this new person, the man's still in mama mode. And you're looking at the man and you're mad at the man for not being sexy again. The man has been in, this is what mama looks like, this is what I'm laying, this is what I'm gonna do for a very long time. And now that you've transitioned, he may not even realize he needs to transition. But that's the thing about love. Love, true love, transcends time and space. Love is energy, and energy doesn't die, it shifts. It rises, it stretches, it softens, it grows, and sometimes it takes a new form, but its essence remains. That's the beauty of love. It doesn't vanish, it evolves. There's a freedom in knowing that just because a relationship changes doesn't mean it's failed. Love recognizes through frequency, through spiritual shifts, seasons, and soul growth. As we rise into new versions of ourselves, the way we relate to others transforms too. not because love is less, but because our frequency requires something different. This isn't abandonment, it's alignment. When you're no longer in constant contact with someone, or when a relationship goes into a different rhythm, it doesn't mean there's bitterness or loss. Sometimes it just resonates. You're vibrating in a new way, and the connection is finding its rightful place within that. Freedom is letting love live in the space it belongs in now, not clinging to the form it used to take. I refer back to my long term friendship. We have risen, fallen, spoken, had silence, laughed, yelled, but through it all, we have allowed one another to grow, to shift, to change entirely. And that freedom has been just that, freedom. You can love people from afar. You can bless them in silence, and you can honor the past and still welcome your present. That's not disloyalty, that's maturity, that's wholeness. When relationships are free of obligation or performance, freedom to evolve resides. In Romans 8:38 and 39, the TPT, Passion Translation, reminds us, so now I live with the confidence that there is nothing in the universe with the power to separate us from God's love. Nothing. I am convinced that his love will triumph over death, life's troubles, fallen angels, or dark rulers in the heavens. There is nothing in our present or future circumstances that can weaken his love. There is no power above us or beneath us, no power that could ever be found in the universe that can distance us from God's passionate love, which is lavished upon us through our Lord Jesus Christ, the Anointed One. Here are my final thoughts on this. Love is not meant to be caged in roles or routines. It's meant to move like wind, like water, like breath. It finds the shape that best serves growth. It whispers, I still see you, even from a distance. It doesn't grip tightly out of fear, it flows freely in faith. This is the lioness's path. She does not chase, but she also does not close. She loves in truth. She trusts the rising, and she releases what no longer aligns, not in resentment, but in reverence. You are free to love without needing it to look a certain way. Free to let your frequency lead. Free to honor every sacred connection for what it is, what it was, and what it's becoming. I am the lioness. I am not here to be tamed, nor to tame others. I am here to live, to love freely, and to let go of anything that requires me to shrink, perform, or fear. I'm learning to honor the love that changes form, to release obligation, and to let relationships flow in the freedom they were always meant to. And in that freedom, love doesn't